Have you ever tried to beat Skyrim naked? No way. I meant in the game. In the game. No weapons, armor, magic, or shouts. Just my furry little claws and legs and a little help from my friends. Today we find out, can we beat Skyrim completely naked? Warning, this video contains spoilers for the popular Bethesda game Skyrim that came out 13 years ago that even your grandma probably knows the whole story by now, so I really shouldn't be spoiling anything, but let's get into it, let's go. We start off as a Khajiit because of their claws. They do bonus unarmed damage, which is all we're legally allowed to use. We choose the name Nudist because it just seemed fitting, and then we watch an innocent man die, fueling my hatred for the Imperials. As Alduin attacks Helgen, I decided to change my career to speedrunning. I try my best to hit the world record any percent completing Helgen. We'll see. A solid 1410. Tomato Anus would be proud. I meet Roloff in this building, he unties my hands, and I very quickly take off everything that I'm wearing. And this is us. This is our loadout for the rest of the game. I take everything that isn't nailed down so that I can sell it later, and then I hide in the corner just like your cat does when it's waiting for you to enter the room. I'm not as accurate as your cat though. One thing I try a lot in this playthrough is sneaking, not to foreshadow or anything, but I thought cats were supposed to be sneaky. Instead of stealth, I resort to good old-fashioned claw time and put my bonus unarmed damage to good use. But at this point, I thought things were going a little too easy for me. After we make it out of the cave, we have a chat with Roloff. He tells us to head to Riverwood and meet up with his sister Girder. But before we head that way, I place a marker down to go and find the Lord Stone, which gives us 50 plus armor rating and 25% magic resistance, which will hopefully help us tank a little bit of the damage. On our way to Riverwood, we come across some local wildlife, and I see what Legendary is all about. Well, we know if I have to fight some wolves or elks, I'll be okay. Hopefully someone can polymorph Alduin into a sheep or something. I stop by the blacksmith to sell all the loot I've gotten from the fallen Imperials, along with stopping by the pawn shop to get some potions. Throughout this run, I'll be trying my best to make potions and collect ingredients, but who wants to watch that, right? I meet up with Girder and tell her Roloff and I escaped, and that also dragons are attacking. I take advantage of her generosity, and she tells me to go to Whiterun to talk to the Jarl. On our way to Whiterun, we come across this helpless giant being attacked by a bunch of townsfolk and decide to join in. Now that we've made it to Whiterun, we have access to quick travel between towns. We'll be using it a lot throughout this playthrough, so if I mysteriously go from one town to another without any explanation, it's because I paid this guy to get me there. Like I just did to get to Marthal so we can go touch the Lord Stone. Once we start our journey through this Arctic hellscape, it gets even worse because spiders. These spiders make the same noise my cat makes when my cat bites things. Let's put that out there. It also would not be a Bethesda game if I didn't zigzag across the mountain to eventually get over them rather than just going the way the game wanted us to go. Coming across this frost troll is the first time we use our elite skills and we start to master the art of running away. Immediately after this, we come across some wisps and we forgot the runaway tactic and start trying to use our claws, and well, it goes as well as one would assume. For some reason I wanted these soul gems that were on this table, even though I literally can't use them. Why are you trying to get them so hard? I continue to climb up the mountain and come across a locked door, no idea what that's about. I hop down and decide it's my best interest to fight a bandit chief. I was wrong. I then decide it's my best interest to hide. After sneaking, I come across some more bandits, and as always, I didn't learn my lesson last time and decided to try to fight them. After tickling him a little bit, I decide just to make a run for the Lord Stone. I give it a rub, and then I hop my furry ass back down the mountain to safety. Now that I have my bonus, I make my way back to Whiterun. I leveled up, so I increased my health, put a point in alchemy. Alchemy and speech are really the only useful perks I can grab in this run. While making my way to Dragon's Reach, I get annoyed by the local crazy person, and I let my intrusive thoughts win. After learning my lesson, I tuck my tail between my legs and continue up the stairs to the Jarl. Once inside, I see the Jarl's housecarl sneaking towards me, so I try to avoid her and just go talk to the Jarl directly. The Jarl directs me to the next room to talk to Faringer. Faringer yells at me that the Jarl would never be in this room just as the Jarl enters the room.
The Jarl can be found in the Great Hall, probably sitting on his Jarl's throne, not over here in a wizard's laboratory.
You, Faringer. After talking to them, they send me off to find the Dragonstone. Before heading there, I take advantage of all the stuff people just leave lying around, and I can't help but think that someone's watching me as I do this. This poor woman, I stole all of her ingredients in gold, and then I used her gold to buy more ingredients, and then used her stolen goods to make more potions to then sell back to her. She thought she was making bank, but in reality, it was mostly stolen right out of her bank. Leaving Whiterun and heading up the mountain to get the Dragonstone, I come across more bandits, and for some reason decide that combat is the best option once again. While I manage to defeat these guys, it doesn't leave us much hope for the future. If simple bandits are a life and death experience, then we might have to get creative later in the run. Once we arrived at the top of the mountain, and after we almost died fighting a couple bandits, I decided I needed a buddy, so I head to Whiterun, find out that Lydia is not available yet, so I steal everything I can out of spite, and head to Riverwood to get Faendal. To get Faendal as a follower, I have to do a small quest line for him, taking a fake note to Camilla to let her know that Sven is a loser, and that Faendal's actually a cool dude, and you should date him. But actually, he's coming along with me, so you guys can figure out that relationship later. I take all of Faendal's equipment because if I can't have anything, neither can you. We then make our way back to Bleak Falls Barrow. Back at Bleak Falls Barrow, I use fentanyl to train archery. Even though I have no use for it, it gives me XP and I can trade my gold back. Win-win for us, lose-lose for Fenway. We level up once again to level 2 and put a point in speech, and then we head up the hill to fight some bandits. We make quick work of these guys outside, and then we head inside. They were also fairly easy, and we make our way to the first puzzle of the game. I've done this 100 times, and even my caveman brain can figure it out. Pictures on rocks, same as pictures on wall. Easy. Going deeper into the cavern, we come across a giant spider. Luckily, he's only interested in funnel, so we just punch his legs over and over until he takes a long sleep. We then just start smacking Arvel, no use talking to him. The only way to get the golden claw from him is to pry it out of his cold, dead, gray hands. After securing what we came for, we navigate our way through the ruins, dodging axes and dead guys, grabbing any loot we can, and letting Fondle do most of the work. We end up in the boss's room. I learn how to yell some more, and Grandpa rises from the grave. I pull some elite gamer moves, and once again let Farrell do most of the work before swooping in and taking all the credit. We get the Dragonstone from the corpse's corpse, then we head back to Dragon's Reach to give it to Faringer. He sends us to speak to the Jarl, who refused to talk to me.
Not now. For some food and rest. You earned it. Here, let.
He gives me a gift that I can't wait to sell, and then tells me I need to go to the Western Watchtower to help slay a dragon that just attacked Whiterun. We meet up with the squad outside the tower, and we have like 10 guys, so it should be quick and easy. After dying a million times, a few hired thugs decide to come join the party and try to kill me while I hide in the tower. I reload my Whiterun save and kick Fondul to the curb and hire Janessa, who actually manages to take out the thugs, and eventually got the dragon low enough to where I can once again swoop in and take all the credit. After sucking the soul out of him, I head back to Dragon's Reach to tell him I sucked the dragon. He tells me I need to go talk to the Greybeards, and before heading that way, I tell Janessa she did a good job. We're actually going to go with another candidate, but thanks for your help. We grab Lydia and make our way to High Hrothgar. We take the Uber to Riften and then walk the rest of the way, coming across some spiders that seem to hit like a semi-truck. Rather than fighting, I instead swim away as quickly as possible. Luckily for us, we came across some wolves, and it makes me feel better about myself because I can actually do some damage to them. But going further up the mountain, I come across another troll, and you know as well as I do that if I even try to fight him, I'll end up in a shallow grave, so I do my best to avoid him. We make it to High Hrothgar, I borrow all the loot they left outside, and then make my way inside to see what these guys want from me. These guys don't believe that I can yell. I tell them I'm not going to use my outside voice inside, but they make me do anyways. Failing the run already, but because I literally can't continue if I don't scream in their face, I decide to break the rules a little and give them a little yell. Impressed by my voice, this guy gives me some colorful wind along with taking me outside to teach me how to run real fast. He once again gives me a little blow, and I show him my natural running abilities, proving to him that I don't need him and anything he has to teach me. He He can't believe how fast I am without shoes and sends me to Ustengrav to get something. I literally wrote something on my script because I didn't get back and see what it was. Learning from my lack of combat abilities, I try to sneak my way through before instantly getting seen and letting my legs take me through the rest of the way as fast as possible. We finally make it to another puzzle that requires I shout at these doors. I tried for longer than I'm willing to admit to get through without using my voice, but I ended up having to. It was impossible to do without. Flustered by having to cheat again, I accidentally opened up GeForce Experience. Embarrassing. I find myself in a big open room surrounded by water. I walk down the path to find a mysterious note telling me I need to go back to Riverwood to rent an attic room. Always doing whatever a note tells me, I go back to Riverwood to talk to Delphine. She tells me that there isn't an attic room, but I can take the open room to my left. So she comes in and shows me the basement. I patiently follow her down and she tells me that I need to go to a burial site. Why she couldn't have said that in the lobby, I'll never know. After leaving the inn, I'm greeted by some cultists that ask if I'm the Dragonborn. I never lie, so I tell them yes, and they attempt to murder me. I decide my best course of action was to hide in a bush, and as always, wait for them to be on death's door before clawing them in the back of the heads. After they were dealt with, I head back to High Hrothgar. The Greybeards once again teach me more dragon swear words I'm not allowed to use before heading to Windhelm to carry on finding that burial site. We come across Alduin once more and catch him red-handed raising dragons from the dead. He leaves his friend behind, so I promptly start punching him in the tail. After he turns me into a candle, I let my friends deal with him while I hide under a mound of dirt. And you wouldn't believe it, I come in for the kill last minute. Delphine is super impressed by my fight or flight response and tells me to head back to the inn. I thought she wanted to jump my bones, but it turns out she wanted me to go to a fancy dress party in solitude. I meet up with Malborn once I arrive, and he tells me to give him all of my important gear, which is nothing. Outside, we meet up with Delphine. She refuses to let me in the carriage until I have clothes on, something about not having my bare ass on the carriage. For the sake of the ride over, I put on some clothes and then immediately take them off when we arrive. I head back inside in my birthday suit and talk to Malborn once again. He tells me to cause a distraction and then meet up with him in the back room. I give this drunk guy another beer and then link up with him in the back room, taking all the food my furry little hands can grab. I'm then tasked with finding information about the dragons returning. I try to sneak around, but once again instantly get caught, forcing me to run around and collect everything while dodging attacks. I keep running aimlessly, waiting for the quest to realize that I have all the books, not knowing that I needed to read them. I eventually am able to hide under the stairs like Harry Potter, using a basket to hide myself from the enemies, finally getting out of combat so that I can continue on with the quest.
You can't hide from me.
I make my way back into the dungeon room and I finally read the book in my inventory and then wait for a good moment to pickpocket the guard for the key to the cave below. By the skin of my teeth, I make it into the cave and then back out the other side to safety. I fast travel back to Riverwood and once again talk to Delphine, who tells me I need to find a guy hiding in the sewers of Riften. Needing more information on where he is, I talk to Brynhoff, who will only tell me where he's at if I help with something for the Thieves Guild. I steal Mad-Size's ring and put it in Branshee's pocket. After doing so, Brynhoff tells me where we can find the guy in the sewers, so we head on down. We get attacked by a few guys as we enter. It goes surprisingly well, but we aren't so lucky with the random lowlife, so we kite him into the Ragged Flagon and have all my new friends take care of him. Thanks, guys. After the group beat down, we head deeper into the sewers, hiding from hostile enemies and talking to Esbern, convincing him to let us inside his room. Esbern tells us that we need to find Alduin's wall and that I need to escort him to Riverwood. Instead of doing that, I abandon him and head back to Riverwood on my own, running past the Thalmor and making my way back outside. Once outside, a random cat decides that she hates me. I'm not sure why she's mad at me, but I decide to take matters outside and let my friends beat her up. At least until I decide to smash her head into a rock and then throw her into the woods. Back in Riverwood, we talk to Esper and Delphine about Alduin's Wall at Skyhaven Temple, and we all get ready to head over. We pull a lot of aggro on the journey. I just ignore it all and make my way inside instead. Once inside, I fumble my way through the puzzle, that is until Esper gives me the correct answers.
Of course, the symbol for dragon. That's the one that appears to have a sort of arrow shape pointing downward.
I cut my hand open so that this giant head door thing opens up and we enter the head and stare at Alduin's wall until Esperin tells me that I need to go back to the Greybeards and talk to them about a shout to defeat Alduin. They refuse to teach me that shout and decide to teach me how to control the weather instead. I immediately refuse to use it and get killed by the wind, so I'm once again forced to use my voice to continue the quest line. I keep shouting into the wind until I reach the top of the mountain where I'm greeted by Parthenax, who also refuses to teach me Dragon Rend and instead teaches me how to breathe fire, which he then makes me do on him for some reason. Parthenax tells me that I need to find an Elder Scroll. I have no idea what that is, so I go back to Esperin and Delphine, and they tell me that I need to go to the College of Winterhold and ask them. Once at the college, they refuse to let me inside, so I talk to the lady standing outside, and she tells me that I need to do a magic trick. I told her I don't know any magic tricks, and she insists. The problem is, I don't have enough magicka. And while I could go farm enough levels to get enough magicka, I could also wear a hat for 1.5 seconds to have enough magicka to do my magic trick. Yes, I cheated again, but don't tell anyone, okay? Just don't tell anyone. After doing my best card trick, I end up inside the college to talk to Urag, and he makes me read some books and then tells me to go find Septimus out in the frozen tundra. Once I arrive at his ice shack, for some reason I punch his boat for a bit. I have no idea why. I recorded this around 4 AM and I was under the influence of, skooma. It's legal here. After talking to Septimus, he tells me where I can find an Elder Scroll. I have to cross this frozen wasteland fighting wolves along the way, but eventually we arrive to some abandoned dwarven ruins, where we use our run and hide method to make our way through this maze-like ruins. I then try out some of that parkour stuff all the cool kids are always talking about, and find a quick route down to the bottom of the room, all while dodging arrows and magic attacks, but we manage to make our way to the next room. In this room, I sneak my way past the Falmor. It works pretty well because they're blind, but it all comes to the end at the top of the stairs when the dwarven centurion busts to life. Luckily, I was able to run past him and make my way down the hidden staircase to safety. I end up in the Nether and I sneak my way past all the enemies, finally make it to the elevator that will take me down to the puzzle room. I randomly and frantically hit buttons until the Elder Scroll is revealed, quickly snatch it up, and then make my way out of the ruins. Elder Scroll in hand, I make my way back to Parthenax and I read the scroll to him. It triggers the world's longest cutscene. I left the room, made coffee, came back, and it was still going. After what felt like 30 minutes, the cutscene ends and Alduin pops out of nowhere. Parthenax tells me to use Dragon Rend on him, and as much as I tried to not use it, no one can damage him without it. So I used it to keep him on the ground while Parthenax and Lydia attacked him. That is, at least until Lydia disappeared. I assume she fell off the mountain. Also disclaimer, Parthenax went down and refused to get back up, and after googling it / asking ChatGPT, he's supposed to get back up, and apparently my game was glitched, so I used console commands to get him back up to fight more. I've already lost the run. What's one more cheat? After getting caught in a death loop and actually managing to escape it, Parthenax finally takes down Alduin, and instead of dying, he must have learned this from me, he runs away. After talking to Parthenax about it, he leaves mid-conversation. I double-checked my quest, and I do indeed need to keep talking to him, so I chase after him to finish my conversation. I head back to Whiterun and visit the Jarl while he sleeps. I steal all his items because he's Imperial scum, and then we agree we need to create a peace council with the Greybeards, the Stormcloaks, and the losing team, I forget what they're called. I head off to talk to the Greybeards, ask if I can rent out one of their conference rooms. They agree, so I visit Ulfric and Windhelm, and I let him know that I'm his biggest fan, and he agrees to join the council. I then go and visit the losing team's leader Tullius, and I lie to him saying I'll be nonpartisan to get him to agree. Back at High Hrothgar, we encounter a Bethesda game feature. We ignore it, and we head inside. Once there, I sit in the seats for ages before I got bored and stand up. They tell me to sit down, so I do, and then so does everyone else. For some reason, everyone listens to a nude cat, and I tell them the Imperials suck, and then I side with the Stormcloaks. It goes well for the people that matter, Tullius gets butthurt, so it's all a win-win. After our meeting, I make my way back to Whiterun and convince the Jarl to let me trap a dragon in his castle. He agrees for some reason, even though I'm taking the other team's side. I let his men do all the work while I hide, and eventually the dragon enters the room and is caught in the trap. I convince him to leave his life of crime and to become a taxi, and he agrees and flies me to Alduin's temple. For some reason, he can't take me any closer to the top and makes me run through the gauntlet of enemies that are being thrown at me, knowing full well that I won't be able to take them on in hand-to-hand combat. I run as quickly through the ruins as I can, doing puzzles while avoiding as much damage as possible. I finally come to a door that requires a key, and that key is being held by this Draugr overlord. I punch him in the back of the head, lead him through some traps, and then hide behind corners till he forgets about me, then rinsing and repeating till he finally falls to the ground. Using the key, I enter the door, which leads me outside. Surrounded by Draugr and dragons that I knew I couldn't take down, I do a dead sprint into the portal of the Sovngarde before they manage to close it. I successfully make it to Sovngarde and talk to Sun. He tells me that we need to have a one-on-one real quick, and while trying to figure out my best course of action, I fall off a cliff, giving me an idea on how to handle him. Get him, Lydia. Get him. Get him. Get him, Lydia. Get him. Yeah, hit him. Push him. Push him. Push him. Yes! Good job, Lydia. And like an idiot, he falls off a cliff. Ha, what kind of idiot falls off a cliff? Am I right, Lydia? Who would do that? What a dum-dum. Alright, let's go kill this dragon. Making my way across the bridge, I heckle some more, and then we head inside. I tell everyone that we're going to beat up Alduin, and everyone's really excited about that idea. While waiting for Alduin, we bond by clearing the fog together, and then as always, I hide while everyone else does all the work. While Alduin is distracted, I sucker punch him. I'm not sure if these are actually hitting him, but it makes me feel good, so I keep on doing it. Finally, Alduin goes down, technically beating the game, but failing our quest to do 100% naked. If I didn't put the no shouts as a rule, I think we easily could have done this, but we'll never know, because I'm not doing this again. And with that, Sin yells at us, sending us back home, completing the game while naked. Wait, what is this? Is this Fallout? Wait, do I have clothes on? Oh, motherfuck.